Okay, so year-on-year figures for vehicle sales show some drop and declines, particularly in the passenger vehicle segment. Why is that?
Well, I think what we saw were figures in August, which looked a little bit lower. But overall, the picture is a lot healthier for passenger vehicle sales this year than last year. I think overall, we're talking about almost 10% up on last year, which was quite a bad year for the retail sector generally. So I think it's a reflection that we're starting to see households go out and spend a bit more, and that's corroborated by household credit figures as well from the banks.
Just a comparative analysis, Robin. Commercial vehicles seem to have been unaffected by market turmoil this year and the current inflationary issues we're seeing now. Why is that?
Well, we're a strange economy. You know, we weathered the international economic crisis quite well. We've just received our GDP estimates for 2010, which also see revisions to 2009 figures. In 2009, at the height of the crisis, our economy shrank only by 0.4%, which was a lot less than a lot of us were forecasting. And last year, we bounced back quite strongly with 6.6% growth. So I think the latest vehicle sales are part of that story. We have bounced back thanks to very supportive fiscal and monetary policies pursued by the government, as well as other factors. And what we're seeing now is households starting to go out and spend a little bit more. It's not spectacular growth, but it's a lot better than it was last year.
Okay, what should support the industry is the fact that the banks are loosening the purse strings, and we are seeing installment credit rising to the region of about 14%. The issue is the uptake for this credit, because I don't know how much Namibia is afflicted by inflation, but in South Africa we're starting to be wary.
Yeah. Well, inflation's going up here too, albeit quite slowly. In fact, we had a surprise fall in the inflation rate in July, but I've no doubt we're going to follow the overall trend of South Africa, and that will impact on household spending, absolutely no doubt. The other thing is, of course, the massive uncertainty surrounding the global economy, because we're a small trading economy that depends on what goes on in the outside world. So I think that's why people are still holding back a bit. They're not going great guns, and that's why the credit figures are positive, but they're not spectacular.
So to the extent that recovery would be predicated on consumer activity, how dependent is Namibia on that? I know that a lot of economic activity tends to track what happens in South Africa. In South Africa, we're heavily indebted as consumers, and the economy needs our spending, but we're just not at the moment.
Yeah. Look, it's not dissimilar here in Namibia. We also have very highly indebted households, similar levels to South Africa. We're seeing that go down a little bit, but I don't think the overall picture on the household spending front is that different from South Africa. What we're seeing are other factors. Maybe the weakening of the exchange rate can boost exports a little bit. We're seeing growth in certain sectors of the economy, in minerals and elsewhere. So it's driven by, I would say, more by exports than anything else, and that's why the picture in the world economy is so critical to us.
The weakening of the exchange rate and its bearing on these vehicle sales, because obviously when we saw a bit of a slump, it was strongly related to the earthquake in Japan and how that halted production for some imported vehicles. The fact that a lot of cars come in from other countries, what bearing is that going to have on the industry?
Yeah, look, we don't have a motor car industry here in Namibia. Everything we buy here is imported either from South Africa or through South Africa, and, you know, second-hand vehicles from Japan and the like. So I don't think Fukushima made an awful lot of difference to our vehicle sales figures, quite frankly. But, you know, I think it's just the overall level of the economy and economic activity that's going to depend on sales going forward. What I have noticed, interestingly, is the sales of some quite exotic cars in Namibia. 2 Maseratis in Windhoek, which we didn't see anything of before. And I saw a very nice, shiny black Rolls-Royce Phantom the day. So some people seem to be doing okay. A friend of mine just bought a brand new Ferrari California. So, you know, it's.
I think you should hang out with your friend a little bit more, and he'll tell you how to get yourself one of those Ferraris. Talking about second-hand cars, Robin, how's that segment of the market performing?
Yeah, look, I'm afraid I don't. Gap in our knowledge. It's obviously an important part of the market, but I really couldn't tell you whether it's going up or down at the moment.